All right, welcome to another video. In this video, we're going to go over some more vibe coding, and we're going to add a little bit to the object we've been working on. So again, we're just doing this to show what you can do as you iterate with AI and you vibe code. In this case, we've created this object that we can playtest right here. Originally, it started as a spinning cube, and then it turned into a pickup because we can now delete it when we pick it up. But we need to create a sound for this, just like in any game. Sound is very important, and you should be able to vibe code this in. It shouldn't be that much of a problem. Let's just hop over to our AI real quick. So we'll go to Google, AI mode. If you don't know how to get to AI mode, in the bar, you can type in tinyurl.com/GV code. That'll take you to the AI mode if you're in a different browser. So what I'm going to ask it is this script that I have that I like to mess around with for adding audio to things. Here you can see it says, can you create a Unity C# script that is called play random audio? This script should have an audio array that is called audio to play, which it plays a random sound once from the array whenever the player triggers the object. Also make sure to include volume 0 to 7, pitch 0 to 7, spatial blend 0 to 1. This will help me control the audio played and how it sounds. It's got a few other things in here, like telling it to clean up the sound, and also can you make sure you don't make any changes that I didn't ask for, things like that. So that's important to do, and especially when you're working with larger scripts. Sometimes if you're working with really large scripts, the AI will try to make changes you didn't ask for. So putting this in here is really good for preventing that. And yeah, I'll just copy all this. I'll say copy. And then I will paste this in here, and I'll hit enter. And it'll try to create a script for me, hopefully. Or it'll look up a bunch of stuff without creating the script. In Unity Query, you didn't create the script. So can you make the script? You didn't make it. There you go. So sometimes it'll kick back things like an answer without the actual script. And you might have to tell it like, hey, can you make the script? Because you didn't actually make the script. So be aware of that when you're vibe coding. It doesn't mean that the AI broke. It just means that it sometimes forgets to give you the response you're looking for, which is weird sometimes. So we'll copy this. But before we copy this, we'll want to copy the name of the script. So play random audio. And then we'll go to Unity. And we'll go into our scripts folder. So we'll go to our scripts folder. So again, that's master game assets, scripts, testing scripts. And in here, I'll just say create, right click, create C# script, control V to paste the name of the script that we've got. So the AI created the name of the script, and we copied that and we pasted it into Unity. So it now created the script. We double click this to open it in our editor. And then we go back to our AI and we copy the entirety of the script, not just the name. So we scroll to the bottom, copy. And then we go to our code editor and we drag select all of this, or we hit Control A, Control V, Control S. So that's select all, Control A, Control V to paste, and then Control S to save. We can also go edit, select all, and then edit, paste, and then hit save right here. And then once we do all that, we let Unity update. And then once it does, we can select our cube and drag it in over here, little blue line, or we could just drag it onto the cube. And that works too. So now we have this here, and we have this audio array, and it'll play the random audio when we overlap it, hopefully, but we have this array. So we need to select an audio in this array right here. So we hit the plus sign. And then in here, we click the little circle right here to select a sound. And then we can check the sound at the bottom by clicking in this area. So we can select it and then click in here. We can see what it sounds like. And then we can close this. And now we have the audio here. And then we want to play test this to see if it plays when we destroy the cube. So let's check it out and see what happens. So as you can see, it says here, cannot play a disabled audio source. So the problem is, I think, when we are trying to play this audio source, more than likely it's being destroyed when the cube is destroyed. So let's go ahead and tell our AI that. So the audio is trying to play on a object that is being destroyed. And you make sure it plays to the end but still cleans up the audio once it's done. So here what we're wanting to do is just make sure that it finishes playing when it's queued, so that, and then it cleans itself up. Sometimes when an object is destroyed, like the parent object is destroyed, the audio will get stopped. So we want to make sure that ain't happening. So we'll type something like this, and we'll just hit enter, and we'll let it see if it can solve it. And we'll scroll down to the bottom here, copy. And here you can get used to copying. So now that we've got our script already set up, we can copy this, go to our code, and then we'll select it here, say Control A, Control V, Control S to paste it quickly. And then we go back to Unity and we wait for it to update. Once it updates, we can playtest it again. But we'll notice we got a new error now. So let's see what our new error is. Let's give it a go. Maybe it worked. Maybe that error was just on import. So I click clear to test it out. So we got this object and we hit it and no errors popped up. So that's good. All right, real quick, little side note I want to add. When you're vibe coding, if you actually get an error, you don't have to always describe it to ChatGPT or Google AI. What you can actually do is copy the actual error over directly, and it'll usually solve it just by identifying the error from the console window right here. So let's go ahead and try to show you that real quick. So you'll notice if I have to play test and I walk into this, it's working right now. It makes the sound. So if I want to introduce an error, I can just go to this script, open it up. I'll pull it over so you can see. And then here I'll just throw in like the semicolon in the wrong spot, creating an error, and I'll hit save. And now when we hit save on that, you'll notice when I come back over here, it'll update the scripts like it's supposed to do, and you'll have this error right here. Now, when you get errors, this is trying to tell you where it's at. So if I were to double click on this, it'll actually highlight or put lines around this code. And it's trying to tell me in the code where it's at. But also, it'll describe it to you a little bit. The semicolon after the method is not valid. So if you're getting an error or something like this and you don't know what to do or you're getting an issue, the first thing you could do is go to your code. So here I'll select all of my code with Control A, and I'll hit Control C to copy or edit copy. And then I'll go to my AI. So here I'll open up the AI, in this case, Google AI, and I'll paste my code in. And then after I paste the code in, I'll go back to Unity and I'll drag select this error, copy it, and then I'll go back to my AI and I'll say the code above has an error that is shown below, and you fix it and don't change anything except what is needed to fix the error. And then you want to make sure you paste the error below. And what we're doing here is we've given this script up top, and we've given a description of the issue, and then we've given the error. And usually doing this will allow your AI to better understand where the issue is. And then you can go ahead and click submit, and it will try to find the error for you. So notice it kicked back the code, and we can copy this. So I'll copy it, and then I'll paste it in here. So I'll drag this over, and I'll hit Control A, Control V, Control S. So Control A for select all, Control V for paste, and then Control S to save. And we'll drag this out of the way, minimize our AI, let it update, no more error, and then you'll want to play test the actual script again just to make sure it's functioning properly. So just like before, I would play test it. And then I would also want to make sure it works on more than one object usually, because if you have multiple, like something like a sound object, you want to make sure it works on multiple objects and not just one object, because you can get errors that way as well. So make sure when it's a script that's intended on being used on multiple objects, you're able to use it on multiple objects. So that's what I wanted to add, just to let you know how to easily identify errors to your AI so that your AI can easily fix it. And hopefully that helps. So let's see if we duplicate it and change the volume and pitch, if anything happens. So we'll duplicate these. I'll change this one to, so here we'll change the pitch higher and we'll drop the volume down a little bit. And then this one we'll just do a little bit higher and we'll do louder. And we'll see what happens. So the point here is we want to make sure it works on multiple objects, and we also want to test the pitch and volume and all that. So yeah, the pitch and volume are changing for sure. So if we had a better audio there, like a coin pickup or something, it would actually work really well. And you also got to see with vibe coding, this is very important. When you're vibe coding, sometimes you run into issues like the sound not playing because the object was being destroyed. And the more you get used to working in Unity, like when an object is destroyed, sometimes it'll prevent its child or something else from happening because if it doesn't exist anymore, then the script doesn't run on said object. So you have to be aware of things like that. But you can generally find by talking to the AI, I could have probably, if I wasn't aware of that, I could have been like, hey, and just described it, been like, I have an object that's being destroyed and the audio is not playing or something like that. And it probably would have figured it out as well. But because I know that destroying an object can kind of create problems sometimes, I just knew to tell it that immediately. But if you ever run into problems like that, well, just make sure to describe it as well as you can, like what you're doing and what you're trying to do, and then ask it to fix it. And usually the AI is pretty good at finding the issue and fixing it. So that's vibe coding. Hope you enjoyed it. And now we have this pickup object that we can place around the map, and we could just run around and pick up stuff. And it's spinning, and we could have different forms of spinning objects that we collect, and we could add like a cube or something to it if we wanted to make the object, or not a cube, we could add a score script to it to make the object add to a score, things like that, and we could track that score, etc. And yeah, that's vibe coding. It's pretty chill, pretty fun, and interactive when you get used to it. And I hope you learned something, and I hope you saw that not all errors are in the console down here. Sometimes they just don't work. Sometimes, like, you think it's going to work, and it doesn't give you a warning or error down here, and you have to understand what you're doing. Hopefully you enjoyed it. That's vibe coding, and we'll be doing more vibe coding in the future, but yeah, I'll see you later.